Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. So, today we are talking about conscious leadership, mastery, and also how you can really launch your lucrative service, okay, or scale it, and how you can link that to your way in which that you feel served, called to serve. And I really want to see this as your soul mission, okay, your life purpose, that you genuinely feel called to do. It is the reason you are here, and that might be something that you are still figuring out, and that is totally fine. You don't have to have it all figured out. All you need to know is that you are the captain of your ship. You are in charge of the direction of where you go, whether it feels like that now or not. You are, okay, all co-creating it. I definitely believe in co-creation, that it's all divinely guided. Even if something is challenging at the moment, that is also divinely guided. But I feel like I've been having a lot of patients today, for example, with burnout and stress, and often this is an opportunity to work in a different way, to do things in a different way. That might be a change in mental habits, or it might actually be a change in the way in which you work, maybe a different industry, or maybe literally a different, for some people that's a different job. But for me, I feel really called to entrepreneurship, to actually launching your own service or scaling your own service puts you in charge. It's such a powerful way to serve, because you are then actually creating your own ecosystem, your own economy, where your income is limitless. You get to choose the hours that you work. Like, for example, I'm doing this, it's 10 o'clock at night in London, and it's my choice. I'm not being forced to do this now. I've just finished an evening clinic, which I've chosen to do after my kids go to sleep. It's only a 1 hour clinic anyway, from 9 till 10. And it suits my lifestyle. I spent all afternoon, about 5-6 hours with the kids. 6 hours with the kids, just chilling after school. We went swimming, and had a great time, and just enjoying our time together, having dinner together and reading, and all of the things. How my definition of motherhood, my definition of my ambitious career. So I'm very ambitious, but I also want that to be in alignment with me being a mum, and not because I have to, but and I'm not saying this is one of those cliche things, but for me, parenting is part of like my soul mission, and I feel very called to it, and even when it's hectic and crazy, and so I don't mind, working, moving in clinics to the evening, or sometimes very early morning, if it means I can then take them swimming or etc., even if someone else is free to do it. So that's not judgment if you're not doing that, whatever. This is just my own definition, and this all comes back down to that whole concept of you are the captain, not me, not anybody else. So it's your definition, and if that is not your definition, of parenthood, that is fine, right? Because it's your life, right? So we don't care about, in a respectful way. This is about respect, but so that we don't care about other people's opinions. It's just that the focus is not on what other people think. The mind is focused instead on what is my opinion on this, or how do I feel divinely guided to this, or how can I combine the two. If it feels that something is no longer in alignment with your values, then you want to get back on the path, because that is a sign, that is something showing you that there is something better for you. Like, for example, for me, when I have patients who have been made redundant, or I don't know, disciplinary action or performance review or something like that, I often just say that this is God or Spirit's way of redirecting you into something that's better for you, better ways of working, or literally a better place to work. Or what I would say is starting your own business is a very powerful way to create, a very powerful way to express yourself. Okay, as I do this, it's very different compared to literally 15 minutes ago when I'm seeing a patient, where there's guidelines and set ways of having treatment, which of course is really important for safety and clinical governance and that side of things, of course. So I agree with that, and I think it's so important. But I do believe in holistic healing, including medication and all forms of healing, basically. And to not be able to talk about that just because of guidelines, I think is a great loss, right? And I think that's something that I do include in my service, which I think is really important. So holistic healing is part of my heart method, which is healing, empowerment, awakening, rising and thriving. And that rising and thriving piece is the conscious leadership. So what does that even mean? Conscious leadership, like, isn't everyone conscious? Like, are you unconscious? But what I mean about that is you might call that spiritual leadership. It's basically where you are, it's much bigger than ethical leadership. For me, I would say ethics is a given, right? Like, it doesn't need to be spelled out, in my opinion. But it's conscious leadership, right? And sometimes that doesn't need to be spelled out, but I like to highlight that. So for me, it's all about consciousness, meaning your thoughts, your feelings, your intuition, your values. And it starts with self-leadership and discipline, yes, but this is really more also around the divine feminine in terms of being open to receive. Okay, and this isn't, when I say divine feminine, this isn't a female thing, by the way. This is an energy. It's an energy, it's an embodiment of an energy that is in the mode of receiving. Like, I believe I deserve this. Okay, it's a divine feminine. Everything needs to be in balance. You need to also take action in your business, right? Like, for example, earlier on, I did a meditation this morning about my business, a 7-8 figure business, and as me as a healer, but also in business leadership, which I really enjoy. And previously did meditations with me being an author, and now I am a #1 best-selling author. So you also then have to write the book, right? You have to, like, I'm here showing up doing a webinar, and so you need to do both, but it's not necessarily about hard work, right? Or about lots and lots and lots of action. It's the right action at the right time for you, which is divine timing. And for me, a webinar isn't necessarily going to be like a 90-minute long webinar, and it's more like that you get to the point, and you focus on what that meaning is for you. And I think that's the key. And also, the whole reason you're starting your business is to do it around your family and also your own well-being. It's not just about doing it for others, but actually including yourself, right? And that's all coming down to a personal development concept called self-image or self-concept, which is not what do I think about you, or what does your spouse think about you, or your kids, or anybody else, which is really nice. You want them to think well of you. That's nice, but you shouldn't have to need it, right? Your self-esteem shouldn't be as if it's dependent on what this person thinks of me. Actually, it should be dependent on what you think about yourself. So what is that internal narrative? And as you start to listen to your intuition more and more and really just go for it, even if there's no evidence yet, you can't always over analyze it. You have to just make a decision. This is what successful people do, is they make a decision, they know what their goal is, and they just go for it. So when an opportunity or a so-called opportunity is presented to them, they already know if this is in alignment with their goal or is just not in alignment with their goal. And as we're talking about goal setting, it's really important that you actually focus. Your goal must tick the health box. So it must be that you are healthy with this goal achieved. So for example, you could be a millionaire, but it be not in alignment with your marriage or your own values in terms of ethics and consciousness, or your health. Okay, so yes, I'm doing this now, but for me, it's in balance with my family, and also getting enough rest because I start much later tomorrow morning. So there's this has been planned out, so it's done in a very balanced way. So it must tick the health box. I've done my meditation and everything else this morning. It must tick the wealth box. So yeah, actually looking at your finances. What's the income that you desire, right? I noticed that I said desire, not need, and this isn't like some magic show. So there is work involved, but it's very different when you're doing work from a place of desire. And I don't mean that in terms of ego. And I think sometimes when you're spiritual, talking about desire, I can feel like it's almost like it's too much. Like, am I allowed to ask for that, or should I be charging high ticket, etc.? But actually, when you focus on abundance, you then realize that, well, actually, all the money in the world is not actually owned by us. It's, I don't know, God's money or the world's money, or however you want to look at it. It's just circulation. It's just circulating round and round. And you are receiving based upon what's called the law of compensation. So the more service you do, the more that you will receive. And the more in turn you'll be able to give back to society. And because of that, you also then receive more, and it just goes round and round. It goes in circulation, just like the heart, blood supply moving around the body. So if there's a blockage, then we need to look at that. Do I feel like I'm wanting to receive? Why is there a blockage in the circulation, of money? So actually, that's really important, is that you actually write down that goal, not just about how much do I need to pay my bills and to do this and that, but how much do I need to achieve this lifestyle that I want for myself and for others, and to be serving in a way that I feel called to do. So, for example, I really enjoy my role as a doctor. Really enjoy being a doctor. Something I've always wanted to be, and I'm grateful to be a doctor. However, I do feel that it would be great to be able to serve on a one-to-many basis as opposed to one-to-one. I do feel that, it might need to be something bigger than group consultations, because even with group consultations, there's only so many people that you can still see, and but to also do that in a way where it's bigger than doing like a course, for example. So I think that it's good to do it as group consultations where you can see many patients. But I think that if you're able to do it in a way where people can access a service in a way that suits them. So, for example, for me, that's sometimes writing a book, or my YouTube channel, if you watch this on YouTube, where it's completely for free, all my courses, all my 20K masterminds, whether it's one-to-one service as well. So, as well as exclusive masterminds, it's really about what level of service you feel that you would like to have. And I think that's really important. Because that way you can really take your high income skill and mold it in a way that serves as many people as possible, which also helps you financially, but also helps in terms of your energy levels. A lot of healers or doctors or people who are very giving. So this is all about servant leadership. So you have a service and you want to serve, but often we don't have very good boundaries. Because you want to give, or sometimes it can almost be bordering on people pleasing, because feeling like, how can you not help? But then that can then lead to burnout. So you need to have quite strict boundaries, and you can do that in a way that actually feels good when you know that, well, me looking after myself is also me looking after you, because I want to be able to serve at my best level. And if I feel myself kind of like wavering, then I know that I'm better off resting and rejuvenating, and honing my craft more than honing my craft, if that makes sense, and reading another journal and doing more diplomas, etc. It's more about resting, rejuvenating, and again that balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So sometimes it's not more service, and more people, it's also the depth of transformation that you are able to offer them. So it's width, so it's vertical as well as horizontal transformation, right? So the depth of transformation that you're able to give every single person, and that you're also able to reach as many people as possible over your lifetime. And you're not going to be able to see every single person, yourself. So that's why I love working in my high ticket mastermind with other leaders and people who are also healers or servant in service based leadership, because they are also serving a wide audience, and they also want to serve as many people as possible with a deep transformation. And that can be in anything, as a lawyer, as a fitness trainer, whatever it is. But I think that's amazing. So if I'm love partnering up through having them as my clients and as a coach, because it means that I feel that my work, especially in healing, is in helping them with their service. Okay. And then of course there's the strategy piece of like actually launching and scaling your lucrative service. Okay. So this is actually what we're going to be doing next week. Next week I've got a 5-day masterclass, okay, which is your lucrative service launch. So even if you're brand new to the online space, you can do this physical as well. So I've had an award-winning private and NHS GP practice. I'm one best-selling author, as I mentioned. I'm also with a mental health regional director and GP partner. Mum to two very cute boys who are very active. So I feel like there's obviously so much more for me to learn, but I have been doing leadership now for quite a long time, and I'm enjoying taking it to the next level, and there is no limit, right? The sky's the limit, so we don't stop our journey. If anything, I'm only just getting started. So my service has won awards in my practice, but also my coaching service has won an award as well in its first year, actually in less than a year. So the only reason I mention that is just to show the power of what's possible, and I'd love to be able to help you to launch your service in a lucrative way, where you're also balanced. Okay, so we're also going to be healing deep trauma, starting a new chapter, a new beginning, healing the past, which is the reason why maybe you're looking to do something different. And I know that you're already successful. If you're here and you're watching this, I know that you're already successful. You're probably already a leader, and maybe money actually isn't an issue for you, or it's not a huge issue. It's really more the time. Like me, you're probably working full time in a high income professional, or leader or entrepreneur, and you're really looking, and you're probably a parent like me or a carer, and you're very ambitious, probably very spiritual like me, because that's really what I attract. But you're really looking for a way to just do this in a much better way. You're a high achiever, you're a peak performer, so you're perfectly capable, but you're just feeling like, well, I mean, is this really it? Meaning you're grateful, you're absolutely grateful for it, but you just know that there's so much more. And once you have that awareness, because this is a self-realization journey, once you have that level of awareness, you can't not have that awareness. Like, you can't unsee it, right? So then it starts to niggle away at you, of like, okay, like this isn't, like, I want to do a phenomenal consult and phenomenal way of doing this, but I don't feel this is necessarily the way going forward for me, or the only way, right? When there's so much more that you want to talk about, that you want to express yourself as well, whether that's through books, publishing books, online courses. But I would say, as a coach in the online space, or as a mentor, or some sort of online training to support your private practice, is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's I think like a $3.1 billion industry, if not more. I think it's actually $30 billion industry. It's huge. And you can be a part of that. And this isn't just necessarily the money. If you really want to make a huge difference in the world, then, having finances, having the funds yourself without needing an investor is huge, right? Because you are then, again, in control of your own ecosystem. Like the charity arm of my business, like, I'm grateful for the ways in which we serve, as so many people do. But to be in charge of that, decide, where those funds go, and That's part of the conscious leadership, right? Which I also encourage for the exclusive mastermind participants. So we're having over 50 clients, per month in our exclusive mastermind, and so to have that level of one-to-one hybrid service where you can actually have my input into your service to launch your lucrative service online, to scale it, and then to actually lead it and to heal yourself as you're growing through that is really important. And it'd be an honor to serve alongside you with that, and to make it award-winning, right? To become one of the go-to industry leaders, through becoming a published author as well. And this is so that if you really want to transform people's lives, you want to understand social media marketing, you want to go online, right? That's where everyone is. You want to give people depth of transformation. You've got to be where they're at. So you want to learn these things. You want to learn about what's the best delivery that suits them, which isn't going to be, one-to-one, I don't feel, face-to-face, in a specific postcode. Like it's very, it's just, it's a very sort of one way of doing things, which I think is amazing and definitely a place for it. And I still offer that, at a very high ticket level, but I'm not going to see many people doing that. And we have had incredible depth of transformations, but there's so much. This is where the law of compensation, the divine law of compensation, comes in, where it's the amount of service that you do, that's the amount you shall receive back in abundance, including in your health, including in your family, loving, balanced relationships, or let's say loved ones. But it all starts from the relationship with yourself, that you feel you deserve this, you feel that this is important to you, and that you want to provide a phenomenal service, right? This is an education in human values. What are your values? Write it down. What do you feel your values are? And what do you feel is your soul mission? And what does that look like in this material world, in the 3D world? What does that look like from an income point of view, in terms of your health, in terms of how you spend time with your family, like literally on a daily basis? What does a perfect day look like to you? Write that out, and anything that is no longer serving you, also write that out and in detail. And I would suggest that you burn it and then take a new sheet of paper and then write out the exact opposite, in its entirety. Okay, the sky's the limit, and this is really about following your intuition. Okay, so I'm also have a diploma in chakra healing, and I absolutely love it. We do this in my masterminds as well. So this is where the healing element comes in. So I really just want you to just take a deep breath, and whatever's brought you here, just know that there is always a better way, and you can have gratitude for where you are right now, whilst you're also building a new way, a new model, right? And everything in life it's just evolution, right? It's just evolution. That's all it is. It's like AI is here now. And imagine the world before we had the internet. Imagine the world before we had the Industrial Revolution. A lot of people just didn't like change, but actually look at how many advances, incredible things we can do with it. So embrace change, not just talking about AI, but whatever change is going on for you, whether that feels to you with your perception of good or bad, just embrace it and see it as an opportunity for now. Things are going to be different in a very positive way. And that's a decision that you can make. And you have the right to make that decision. And it's a choice. It's a choice. But you have a decision to make. Like, either you want this or you don't want this. Okay, so if you are ready to launch your lucrative service in 5 days, it's a free 5-day masterclass. Come and join us. The link is in the bio. It's in my Wealthy Warrior Leaders Facebook group, because we can ask any questions you want at all. Feel free to DM me anytime on Facebook. Just message me about your goals, any obstacles or issues that you're currently facing. Anything that is making you feel scared or anxious or fearful, because that is a state of consciousness as well. I'm not saying that it condones certain actions of other people, but sometimes we can attract that. I know that might not be that could be a slightly contentious thing to say, but I'm not so it's not that it's deserved necessarily. But we can sometimes be on a victim mindset level where we're almost attracting that. So we want to get out of that, get into victor, right? To be not a warrior, as in worrying, doubt, fear, but be a warrior in terms of strength and courage, and see this as a new beginning, and to get out of that state. That is the number one. And we'll be doing that next week as well. Okay, so you get out of that state of consciousness, you heal the trauma, and then you have a practical plan in terms of your wealth and life purpose pillar. So that's health, healing, and then that's awakening the warrior within and launching, scaling your lucrative service online. And literally within 5 days, people have launched their service. Okay, people have had 5K clients paying full, no sales call, right? Just paying full completely from cold. And then the third piece is the rise to thrive. So conscious leadership, Phoenix risen, not rising or not constantly rising, constantly healing, but actually you're risen. And now you're going back to help others. You're going back and you're handing, servant leadership, and you're there to help others on all that journey, but in an abundant way. Okay, healthy boundaries. So you're an empath like me, but you know what? No more burnout as a healer or as a leader, as a servant leader. You need healthy, strong boundaries in a respectful way, but starting with self-respect. And once I did this for myself, even as a doctor, it actually made my clinical practice so much better. And you know why? Because you're also leading by example. And even if you don't talk about it, people can feel that energy. They can feel your boundaries, like the energetic boundary that you have. And people have respect for that. And they can feel that courage and that strength. And that in itself is actually very healing. And also that you're teaching that it's not that dependent on you. You're actually teaching them to cultivate that within themselves, which is self-leadership. And that is the greatest gift that you can give somebody, so that you can still have a membership program like I do. I have the Wealthy Warrior experience. And often people stay in my exclusive 20K mastermind for maintenance. Then it's just maintenance. It's just like going to how you have like a gym membership. It's just, or how people go to church on Sunday. It's just something that they just do, right, on a monthly basis. And that helps to protect their consciousness and stay on that high level of doing things, because you're then in a very close-knit community of top leaders. All right, so sending you so much love and light. If you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the comments wherever you're watching this, on YouTube or Facebook. You can DM me your questions as well. But otherwise, I'll catch you in the launch next week. I'm super excited, November 6th to 10th, to come and join us. There's going to be limited spots, because I really want to keep it as intimate as possible. But come and join us. If you can just DM me your email address, then we can get you registered. You'll also get a free copy of my book, Habits, your 21-day plan to transform your mind, body, and life. And you'll also get our email newsletter for updates, and you have these webinars as well weekly. You can also enroll into my Wealthy Warrior experience, which is my level 1 membership, bronze membership, which has all of my masterclasses in there, okay, which is things about how to start your online business, about healing, about your relationships. It's every aspect of life, okay, so health, wealth, relationships, because we want a balanced life, okay. And you have all the masterclasses in there. It's only, it was $97 per month, but now it's $111, so $111 per month. And in that, you also get a 30-day free trial as well. Okay, so come and join us if you want to join that. I'd strongly recommend you join the membership, because it's a free 30-day trial, right? So you can always cancel it anytime. But I would strongly advise you join the membership, because you can actually have access to all the masterclasses and start learning now, in preparation for the masterclass, the 5-day masterclass we're doing for free next week. In the membership also, every single month you will have additional masterclasses and a live Q&A. And then in the exclusive mastermind, which is 20K, that's a year-long mastermind. In that, you'll also be getting a success path, which is very specific to leadership, to launching and leading and scaling your lucrative service, to become an industry leader or to take it to the next level. But in that, you actually get one-to-one coaching with myself as well. All right, so you get daily accountability, daily support, because I think that's so important. I really want to get you results. I want to give you what I have had that's really helped me, and also what I wish I'd had at the beginning. When I started my business when I was 34 weeks pregnant, just knowing that I don't think just doing medicine, even though a lovely doctor, is going to cut it. I don't think it's going to be actually enough to help people on the level that I want to help people, but that depth of transformation, knowing there's all this other side of holistic healing, and in terms of finances and starting a business, which is so healing for myself. And I feel it's actually healthy for me to express myself in this way. There's no other platform as a doctor. I'm not actually really allowed to talk, sometimes like this in terms of laws and regulations, etc. But as a coach, it's very different. So I really enjoy that. So come and join us, and I'd love to help you. Sending you so much love and light, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.